feel like a teacher. Everyone's gone quiet on me. I was a teacher in a past life, so I'm used to it. Already? Beautiful. Welcome, everyone. Hi, I'm Lisa Hasker from Vicsport. Thank you for spending some time with us today. We are going to talk to you today about youth participation. We have been lucky enough over the last 12 months to have a fantastic Youth Advisory Council, and you'll be introduced to our YAC later, and thank you for all your work in advance to our team. The insights of youth are really important, and we want to take you through their work, and then we're going to have the fantastic Professor Rochelle Eime speak to you about her research on youth participation. But can I start, before we go into formalities, can I start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we're all meeting and pay my respects to elders past and present, and acknowledge that this is a really special week. We're in NAIDOC week this week, and we're celebrating elders, and this week is for elders. And so we acknowledge that and thank Indigenous leaders for their contributions to sport in the past that have led us to where we are today. So as I said, youth is our focus. We're very lucky that we've been working with Vic Health on various projects, but a really important one around youth engagement and our Youth Advisory Committee and insights that come from youth to support sport participation. We know that numbers drop off when people get to the youth age groups in sport. Why? How can we get them back? How can we re-engage? How can we keep youth engaged? And part of that, which Vic Health has recognised and we've been working with them on, is getting the insights from youth, rather than me at 55 years old making up something that might be cool for youth, which is not going to be cool. Why don't we talk to youth, get their insights, include them in the decision making that we do in sport, any industry for that matter, but sport particularly for us, and make sure that we're using those insights to make decisions around what we do for our various sports. So welcome to those of you that are in the room on a cool Melbourne day. Welcome to our live stream participants, and we'll be able to have all this recorded and used later when we need to for people that couldn't make it. We've had quite a few people pull out because unfortunately everyone seems to be getting COVID again or the flu, which is not great. But we're here and we're healthy, so that's good. The important people are here in the room and online. I'm now going to hand over to Meredith Hodson, who's our events and membership coordinator. Meredith's been working with our YAC over the last 12 months, and we'll do a bit of an intro and we'll hear from our YAC first, and then we'll hand over to Professor Rochelle Eime. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Lisa. And as Lisa mentioned, it's been my absolute pleasure working with these young people over the last 12 months. I definitely have learnt a lot, and I'm sure that everyone here tonight or this afternoon will as well. I encourage you to jump on the QR code, download their work and have a look at it either now or after the presentation. We'll also be sending it out. So it's all on our website, good to go. But now I would like to welcome Charlize, Planning, Mackenzie, Jack and Victoria up to the stage, and I also would like to acknowledge Khalid, Max and Lewis, who are joining us on the live stream for their contributions as well. So over to you, team.
Hi everyone, my name is Planning and I'm part of the Youth Advisory Committee. I too want to acknowledge the traditional owners of our land and pay respect to our elders. I also like to take this chance to thank the rest of the YAC members who are unable to make it today but have contributed tremendously over the last 12 months. So who's YAC? So we're a committee that was created through the joint collaboration of Vicsport and Vic Health. And really we're a diverse range of individuals that come together. And you know, maybe later after the talk you can chat with any of our members and you'll find that they are from so many different sports that it's really more than two hands can juggle. And we're from different areas as well, and really I've come to know them as and learned so much from them as why we like to engage with sports, or why certain sports we have different experiences which changes our engagement with them.
Yep. Thanks, Planning. And yeah, I just wanted to mention as well, when we were wanting to recruit the people in the YAC, We really wanted to engage, young people that were engaged and disengaged in sport, so having perspectives from all of those young people. So, yeah, hi everyone as well.
So really, what we came to do collectively is to deliver this youth engagement strategy. And the purpose of that is to emphasize what is it that engages young people, but really what is stopping young people from being engaged in sports, whether that's due to certain circumstances in their life, or whether that's due to certain barriers or certain positives which then engages them in sports. And so it's really about elevating the experiences and the voices of young Victorians, and then figuring out what we can do better to provide that youth-centered perspective in order to help sporting clubs and organizations better engage young people, because that's why we're here, because we love sports and we love engaging it, and we just want to make a good contribution back to the community. So I'll delve into a bit of how we came about developing this strategy. Firstly, as a group of 8 people, we came together through monthly meetings to first develop what the survey might look like, as well as interviews. And the reason for that was we wanted to gather a large number of responses from different areas and from young people of different ages. And so we developed surveys that would then look at certain barriers, opportunities, and certain positives that people had gathered from sports across their adolescence. But the surveys will only provide a very quantitative idea of how they engage in sports. And so then the interview component really then contributed a qualitative component. You could then delve into and expand upon those questions and really figure out from their personal perspective why they love sports, or why they felt that they were not ready to commit as much in certain areas of sports. We then collectively distribute those surveys to universities, high schools, and community clubs. Came together, analyzed those results, and we also then had a discussion among our group to then see and develop the key recommendations.
So from this, we were able to collate all of our results and have a look at them. It was absolutely phenomenal, the number of responses we got, which we were all super, super excited about. And the things that we were able to take away from it was that the main barriers to sport participation are things like costs, travel, culture and language, so our core communities, gender discrimination, disability discrimination, lack of staff and support at a club or local level. The really interesting thing that we found was that these were all quite even across the board, so people's experiences with these negatives, there was not one that particularly jumped out more than the other, and these tend to be quite significant barriers to sports across a whole lot of different people. The things that we did notice though were that people that had between like 1 and 5 years of experience in sport tend to experience these a little bit higher than people that had either never played before or people that have been in the sport for 5 or more years. We also found that gender diverse athletes tend to experience these negatives a little bit higher than cisgendered athletes or participants. It was quite similar trends for our benefits. So we all know the benefits of sport, that's why we're here. But our youth tended to agree that improved physical, mental, social well-being, having a sense of community, and also personal development opportunities were all quite even across the board as well. People really, really valued these different things. And again, though people that had either never played or played for a really long time tended to value these a little bit more than people that were in that kind of in-between area, which we thought was really interesting. And with our opportunities for sport is things that we really tried to focus on. So these are the things that we thought could help bridge that gap, keep people in the sport. And we were really interested in having a look at these this data. So we found that having low commitment participation options, so things like come and try or social sports and things like that, tend to be really valuable. Making sure that coaches are upskilled and know how to coach young people
just having a greater number of coaches and support staff available, having easier access to sports, cultural competency, and personal development opportunities for players were also really valued. And we saw a little bit of a change in this, that people that had never played sport before didn't really see as much value in these things, but the longer people had stayed in sport, the more highly they valued these things. So yeah, it really showed us that these are the kind of things that are keeping people engaged in sport, and these are the things that people that have been in sport are really, really valuing from their experiences with their clubs and communities. And from this, our key takeaway from it was that the more that people play sports, the more they come to love the opportunities that they get from them. This shows how important it is for keeping people interested long term and making sure that they're getting the benefits from sport that we really want them to. However, it does really highlight as well that like 1 to 5 years kind of experience is a really tenuous time for keeping people engaged in sport, and this is the area that we really need to focus on. So this is where people are most likely to start to see the negative aspects associated with sport, like costs, travel, dealing with unfair treatment, discrimination, all those things we really want to try and stop. So we need to keep an eye out for these issues if we want to keep more young people in sport. This leads us to our key actions.
Can I jump in for, I just want to jump in for a second to, I guess, contextualise what we've showed you. And I think Victoria did a really good job of speaking about how many people we spoke to doing this. Victoria told me a great story just before about when we put this survey out and kind of the expectations that we had, which she was talking to some of our team, and we were hoping for maybe 50 or 100. And then Victoria checked back in over the weekend and we had 800. And then the next time she checked, we had 1,600. And the next time we checked, we had 2,600. And we nearly had 20, we were 9 away. I wish we left it open for another couple of hours so we could have got 2,700. But just to contextualise how many young people were involved in our results, I think is really, really incredible. And I think shows what happens when young people design the surveys. We spent a lot of time talking about and being very honest about, is this something that we'd want to fill out? I can't stand surveys, if I'm honest with you.
You made it as user-friendly as possible.
And I think that's really been a credit to the team and got us some really, really interesting results that are not from any particular group. And this report, I think, has been very, very well brought down to 4 pages. It was a lot closer to 20 a few days ago with the amount of graphs and different demographics that we broke down. So really just contextualising the amount of people that were involved in this and thank all of those young people and really appreciate their time. But these are the actions.
Yeah, on to the key actions of sporting organisation. So the first one that we really looked at was look towards for your young people to develop and create initiatives into sport. Like clearly we're all young as well, and so we have great ideas. We've all helped our sporting organisations and things like that. So really do reach out to your youth for innovations and ideas moving forward and how to improve. Yeah.
Thanks, Mackenzie. Action 2, so provide opportunities for young people to develop a sense of community. Young people want sport to be more than just physical activity. Providing young people opportunities to gather socially in environments where they feel comfortable and included will add value to being a part of a club and can bring about a sense of belonging. So some examples that you could implement include movie nights, game nights, casual play nights, and group chats. We love a good group chat. Action 3, build the capacity of your young people so that they can succeed in leadership. Young people should feel comfortable volunteering for the leadership opportunities within the club. So this can be done by encouraging and empowering young people to step up to be in positions of power such as club committees or youth representatives. Yeah, sometimes young people can be a bit shy to volunteer to be leaders in their club, or so, you know, encouraging them to be a leader can help with the young person's confidence and can empower them as well and their other friends to do the same.
Amazing. So our 4th one is offering professional development opportunities. So in our opinion and through our data, we found that young people often want to be involved in sports through multiple avenues, and that young people should be provided opportunities to grow professionally, such as coaching and refereeing, and ensure that these are long-term, sustainable, and financially supported. I think that really is a great benefit to one of the things we talked about in terms of staffing, Whereas if we can get our young people involved in more of that organisational and coaching, that they're going to stay around and they're going to be involved in a different way other than playing. One of our others is providing opportunities for different levels of engagement. So we think sports should be accessible to young people no matter what their commitment level is. So providing young people with options for casual participation allows for more people to be involved in community sport. So this can be either graded in terms of levels or ability to access. So casual plays, open nights, things where people can test out and don't feel like they're committed. I think we often in sports, have situations where people only maybe get to play one game before they have to get a membership. And I think that's just really inaccessible for a lot of people, especially a big commitment if you're trying to find out if this is a sport for you.
Yeah. And also having like the skill levels in your promotions and sign-ups, to see if there's beginner, intermediate, advanced options is really helpful for young people as well.
Oh, I got 3. The other one we had was pretty simple that I think a lot of clubs do well, but some don't, which is create a social media platform and start posting. I think we need to be where our young people are, and the club should endeavour to grow a social platform and start consistently posting. Promotion and visibility of clubs is important and has the potential to positively impact a return on investment and increase the value of your club. People need to see your sports to realise they want to play them, and they need to realise, how enjoyable sports are. And this is an avenue that a lot of young people are on, something that we've talked about a lot and that we found in our data is a way, and this is the place where young people are finding sports. I think pickleball is probably a really good example at the moment of something that's very, very well advertised on social media and is the only reason a lot of people know it and are playing it. So I think it's a really key avenue for us all to look into. And have your young people help you with that if you don't feel like you know how to do it, because we do it way too much.
Yeah, but I think we just like to say thank you, then you can hit us up with any questions after this.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Can we give another round of applause to the work of our Vicsport Youth Advisory Committee? Don't know if you looked across, but the whole Vicsport team and Anthony as well were all kind of beaming with pride. You should be so proud of yourselves delivering this report. And I did see it when it was about 20 pages long going, wow, how are we going to condense this down? And they've done an amazing job. So definitely recommend checking it out after today's session. The 6 actions you can implement, you can break those down even further to hand out to your clubs. They've done a really, really good job of distilling things that might take you a little bit longer, but some things that you can start with straight away, particularly the creating a social media platform. I think that's fantastic. And also just looking to the young people that are already involved in your sports and helping them build the capacities to step into leadership. So yeah, I'm just so stoked for them. As sporty people, sometimes we can forget that what it's like to start something new, particularly as a young person. So this is a great guide and a great starting point. And obviously, if you have further questions or would like to get in touch with any of the YAC, do reach out. And we do have some time after today to do some networking over light refreshments. But yeah, seeing the behind the scenes of all of this work, I know firsthand how much effort has gone into it. Each of the youth advisory committee members have brought their skills, experiences and their joy to the project, and I've definitely got a lot out of it. So I'll stop gushing now, but thank you so much for your contributions. It is now my absolute pleasure, I need to have another coffee, my absolute pleasure to welcome Professor Rochelle Eime up to the stage. As Director of Physical Activities, Sport Insights, and also Professor of Sport Participation and Behaviour Epidemiology, Rochelle has over 20 years of research experience and is also a valued member of the Vicsport board. So all over to you, Rochelle.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. Yeah, I might have 20 years experience. I think I'm just outside the age demographic for the YAC group though. So, yeah, no judgment. Well done, YAC. I think that was really great. I'm going to share some of our research for the last 20 years, but a lot of synergies with what you've come out of your research in terms of the voices of the youth. So I'm going to share some of my experiences. Yeah, I'm the Director of the Physical Activity and Sport Insights Group at Federation Uni and Vic Uni. I'm also the Deputy Chair of Vicsport, and I've been involved with community-based participation in sport my whole life, and as an academic for the last 20 years, and really passionate about getting people active in sport and keeping them involved in community sport. I'm going to share some of the trends in participation in sport. This is from the Sport Participation Research Project, which has been going for quite some time now and funded by Vic Health and state government, and involves 10 major sports in this reporting. And I sort of get sick and tired of every year we just have another bar adding onto the bar, but we can see there that it peaks at 10 to 14 years of age, and then it significantly drops off for 15 to 19. And I've been saying that for 2 decades now, and it's getting quite repetitive. Those trends haven't changed. We're really good at getting children involved in sport, but we're not very good at keeping people involved in sport. So I'm going to talk about some of the determinants in terms of participation and drop-off for our youth. As I said, that consistent drop-off has been around for quite some time, and a lot of the things I've been talking about most recently is, we should focus on retention. We should focus on, keeping people active in the game and not just touching a ball once or twice. But unfortunately, sometimes the sport policy is increasing numbers. Participation peaks 10 to 14, and then it halves, and then it halves again. And I'll talk about some of the reasons why that actually occurs. Participation is still much higher for males than for females, though pre-COVID we were making some marked increases in Victoria in line with the investments and the strategies around women and girls playing sport, particularly for those male-dominated sports. When I was young, I wasn't able to play, but COVID sort of put a dampener in some of those trends. Sport policy has pretty much focused on increasing your numbers. So we just want to see an increase every year. So we'll just get a bunch of new people, and don't matter if those others have dropped off. And that's why I'm really keen on trying to keep people engaged in sport, but maybe in a different way, because competitive community sport, particularly during that adolescence period, does not suit everyone. And we need to think about, what are we offering our youth? We have competitive, traditional model of sport, but what else are we offering them? I've got 17-year-old boys, they're twins, and their lives are much, much different to the lives of my grandparents. But the way we deliver sport in terms of, Tuesday and Thursday night training and competition on Saturdays, home and away season that goes for 12 weeks, is pretty much the same thing that we've had for many generations. But our youth are living much different lives, and we've seen that drop off, but we haven't really been attending to that. So why do we drop off? The social ecological model, I'm not going to get too academic on you, but it looks at individual factors, it looks at social factors, and it looks at organisational factors. So a lot of the things that I'm showing here is the same as what the YAC found. We've surveyed tens of thousands of youth that currently play sport and those that are drop out, about reasons why they play and why they drop out. In terms of the individual factors, and a lot of these are intersecting as well, and there's not just one reason why someone drops out of sport. Often they're quite interconnected, and there's sometimes a multitude. Physical literacy, put it simply, it's the skills to actually play the game. If you can't strike the ball and catch and throw, you're not going to have a good time. But it's also the confidence and competence to actually play, and the motivations to go and play as well. So if you don't feel like you're skilled enough as the other teammates, and you're on the bench for quite some time, and you put on the last 2 minutes of the game, and and you're not any good, and you drop the ball, you're not going to come back next week or next year. Cost is a major barrier as well. A lot of clubs look at the cost in terms of membership, and they think, we need to try and look at the membership. Membership's only one type of cost. There's many other associated costs. And I'll go through some of the examples of ways that we can minimise costs in a moment. Fun and enjoyment is the main reason why people play. It is not winning. It's not. Half the people lose each time you play a match. It is fun and enjoyment, and especially for the youth, it's playing with their mates and their peers. They just want to go out, have some fun, play the game, develop some skills, and be with their mates. But when it's not fun, that's when they drop out, and often it gets too competitive, too much time commitment. Preference for other leisure time activities, particularly during adolescence. They might have been playing several sports when they were younger, when they've got plenty of time, and then they've got extracurricular activities, education and work, and they just can't be playing 2 or 3 sports anymore. So other leisure time activities, and phones and screens and the like. Social, family and peer support. I mean, the family are the ones that open and shut the doors of when children start, but the peers are a lot more important. The mates and their friendship groups are what keeps them engaged in sport. Coaches and officials play a major role as well. We sometimes get unfriendly coach as a reason why people drop out. In terms of the organisational, often during adolescence it gets really competitive focus and a focus on winning. The adults are driving that, not the actual youth driving that. What are we offering them? What other programs or competitions are we offering them? And that's similar to what the YAC was saying, it depending on what level of engagement people want to have, what level of skill they actually have as well. Inclusion, being nice and friendly to race, to gender, to people's skill levels, making people feel welcome and part of the team and part of the club. Age limits is something that really hits those adolescents. There might have been 3 under 10 teams, 2 under 12 teams, and then once you get to 18, you're in open age group. You're competing with everyone from 18 to 35 for a spot on that team. So it just gets really, really harder for them. And, if they're not the best in the team, they're just going to drop out if there's no other options for them to be able to actually play. So that transitional life stage, 16 to 25, if we're saying that's youth, I'm just outside of that age bracket, as I said. Lots going on in their lives, but sport becomes increasing demand and commitment. I struggle with my kids. They have pre-season training when they're still playing, finals of their summer or winter sport. It's then training twice a week at the club, and then they've got off-court stuff as well they're trying to do, plus the competition, plus the interleagues, and plus the other competitions that they get into, and then the training for those, and it just goes round and round and round. And also too, once you sort of get to that 15 and 19 where they're dropping off, the club sort of has a switch that it sort of goes, we've got to focus on winning the premiership now, and we've got little Johnny might play for Australia, we got to go rah and win, and we have all these awards for best on grounds, which the actual kids don't actually care about. They just want to play. And I think we focus too much on the 1%ers that might flow into those talent development pathways. Those pathways are there, and those youth will find their ways into those pathways. We shouldn't change our competition and club structure and annoy 99% just because we're trying to support little Johnny maybe play for Australia. And that's where I think the focus gets too heavily on that winning and too competitive. It suits some, but it suits very, very few. And that's why a lot drop out. They have a lot more increasing demands. Their education is getting more serious. Well, for some, hopefully. I don't know about my kids. No, just kidding. They have changes in education. They might be going away for TAFE or for work or for uni, part-time work, so they can pay for their social life, which gets more heavily involved. They might be moving away from home. And they do have more autonomy in terms of what they would like to do once they definitely start driving and have a bit more cash. So there's a lot going on in their lives. And in terms of COVID, we know that, and this came out of the YAC survey as well, how important sport can be for personal development. I love my kids to learn about striving to achieve, learning to win, learning to lose, being leadership, listening. They actually listen to their coach, unlike their parents. And just their health and well-being as being part of a group and a team that supports them is really, really important. And I found that especially through COVID, when they could get back playing footy, they just wanted to be back with their mates. It was really important for their mental health. But our research also demonstrates that through COVID, for those youth that couldn't play sport, the males were more resilient. They had improved physical, general, mental health compared to the females. Maybe it is that the females often have more things to do with body image, social media, etc. And the team and individual, so those that played team and individual sports had improved health outcomes than those that did individual type activities. And research has shown that over decades, and it's just due to the social nature of team and club-based sports. If you're connected with other like-minded people that you enjoy being around, you're going to feel better. And so it's sort of a snowball effect. Post-COVID though, unfortunately, we did see a lot lower participation for young children, and those that might not have got the skills to actually, catch and throw and hit and feel confident about rocking up to a club to go and play. And it was a bigger decline for females than not males. So we've talked a lot about the barriers and a lot of why people drop out. This is a sport participation model that was published a couple of years ago. And what I try to demonstrate through this is that for preschool kids should be involved in non-organised play and non-organised sport, kicking the ball around the park, etc. We don't start children in school until they're sort of 5, until they're developmentally ready. So we shouldn't start them in sport until they're developmentally ready. I used to coach tennis. Oh my God, if you had someone under 5 coming to tennis lessons, didn't they right and left and attention span of 10 seconds, go and hit the ball, with a mini med or against a hitting wall and come to lessons when you're developmentally ready. When they're 5 to 9, a lot of children get involved with modified sport, which is all about fun, friends and fitness and skill development. And then they can move into club competition or they can drop out. And then we can see that blue, as they get to 15 to 19, diminishes and diminishes. The role of club competition in terms of our youth lives is a smaller part of the pie. And some will flow into that elite pathway. And what I developed in that lighter blue was this organised social recreational model. I don't like the word social so much. Sometimes it means a hit and a giggle. But what are we offering in terms of an organised way to play sport and engage that's not through club competition? And I really don't know much that's in that space. So instead of all those half of kids dropping out from club competition, they're not moving into the elite, there's very few. What are we offering them to be able to do that's still organised, still a time and a place, and some adults organising that to actually be with your mates, get some skill development and play the game. I developed this model. We did so many surveys of I actually love surveys, so I'm sorry you don't. And of why people play and why they drop out. And then we asked them what makes it fun. So the fun things are in the sort of light blue, and the motivations of why people play are in the dark blue. And I started to tie these together in the social ecological model. So in the bottom circle, what are the motivations? The main motivation is fun. And what makes it fun? It's being challenged to improve. People like to feel like they're getting better, improving. And the fun motivations within that are trying your best, a sense of achievement, keeping fit, health and fitness, winning and performance was much lower down on the individual factors. That middle ring, the social factors, what makes it fun is playing with my friends. So why do we segregate people based on their ability and not let their friendship groups play together? The main motivation is to actually be with their friends. What makes it fun? Socialising, motivations for social reasons. What makes it fun? Playing well as a team, and parents behaving. Yes, parents, it's on you. And then when we look at the organisational factors up the top, one of the main reasons why youth said sport is playing fun is getting game time. And I've seen this in 10 and under, -4 on the footy oval, and 7:30 or 8 o'clock in Ballarat, and these kids are getting benched because they're not perceived to be the best, and they're put on for the last minute of the quarter, each quarter when the ball's down the other end. Those kids aren't coming back next season or next year. They just want game time. They want well-organised practice, and they want a friendly coach. And I was quite concerned with this too. How hard is it just to be nice to everyone? And then I mapped sort of on the side that green colour. Well, what are we offering? So this is the reasons why people want to play and the motivations and what makes it fun. We've got this rigid competition structure that's delivered in clubs, real traditional formats that really haven't changed, a big focus on winning and a big focus on talent development. And I go, well, it's obviously not working in terms of the youth because they're just dropping out. We get them engaged, but they're not hanging around. So instead of social sport, we call it sport for me. I don't care what you want to call it. We just need to do something different. The problem's not new. It's just that traditional sport doesn't suit everyone, and that's okay. It serves its purpose for those that enjoy that, and that's great. But for a lot of people, it doesn't serve the purpose of what they want it to be. It's just sport done differently. It's not rocket science. It's a person-centred approach. And like the Yak saying, it's about the voices of the youth. Who are we in terms of, adults and older adults to decide what the children play should look like or our youth should look like? We need to ask the voices of the youth. It needs to be quality delivered sport with a focus on fun, friends, skill development and play. It's still a competition. Sport is still, I'm striving to score more points than you. But at the end of the day, it's not why we're there as who's won at the end of the day. The objective is still to score points, but it's not the reason why they come to play. It's got to be flexible in terms of flexible, uniform and welcoming, inclusive. And we don't actually have the video clip on this one, but that's okay. I was going to... Yeah, because I've got a video clip on the actual sport for me. It goes for about a minute or two. But in terms of some of the other factors, in terms of things we can change, in terms of flexibility, it's flexibility on uniform and ways you can save costs and that too. So that why do you need to have your own, team-based uniform for, why don't you have actual club-based and team-based uniform, not as an individual? So you're not buying a new jumper each season. Why do you need home and away shorts? You actually don't. You only have one bottom, you can only pair one shorts. Also with my boys, through COVID, I went through their bedrooms and found half a dozen pair of footy boots each. They're twins, so there's no hand-me-downs. I chucked them in the washing machine and they look brand new because they've been worn one season because then they grow out of them. My local footy club actually has a garbage bin. It says, put your boots in the garbage bin and get a pair next year. Well, what kid wants to go to a bin, get out a dirty boot, try and find the other dirty boot that it goes with and take them in home and go, yay. But if you washed them and put them on in the change rooms along the seats size 6 to 16, they look brand new, $200 a pop, maybe a $10 exchange. There's lots of little levers we can do to make some of those barriers about cost and travel and social support. What are the little things we can change and make that experience much more enjoyable, but very much about the voices of the youth. Thank you.
While we've got Professor Rochelle Eime up here, Rochelle, I'll just like to keep it formal. Does anyone have any questions, audience questions? Lisa has a mic, so feel free. Or any coming through in the live stream? This is your chance, folks.
And if you do want to see that clip too, it's on my LinkedIn page. It's just a minute and a half. House of Wellness did a TV shoot on it, if you're interested.
Hi Rochelle, Mark from Netball. What have you got on, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge here. It's really beautiful to see, so I really congratulate you and everyone involved with today and sharing with us. It's great to be involved. I'm really interested to know what you've got on cost shifting, so cost shifting from parents to in fact young people, and in fact who's paying for age 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 participation?
That's a very interesting question. We're actually doing some work on cost of participation at the moment, analysing what are the costs within and across sports and how they do differ by age groups, but we haven't done any work on who's actually paying for the cost. As a mother of 17-year-olds, I am. And I think too, what we are seeing is that family finances are being stretched and discretionary spending is impacted, and so what goes are those other leisure time activities. In terms of club and team-based sport is many times cheaper than a lot of individual type activities, and a lot of the other private activities that are indoors and sort of commercial activities. So, gym, Pilates and yoga are often quite expensive, but your local, footy, netball, soccer are reasonably cheap, and especially in country regions, the cost of play. But it's often not the membership, it's the uniforms. So again, home and away shorts, you don't need them. The footy boots, but also too, why do you need a logo, association logoed apparel? Because you can only sell it to 1,000 people, and the cost is double the amount of what you can get a generic brand at a normal sports store. So some blue and white socks might be, you know, $15-20, but put the logo of your association on it, and it's just double the price. So I like to get clubs to just question why, instead of saying, "Oh, that's not any good." Just, well, why do we do that? Oh, because it looks great, but really, why? And I did this with local association with the footy shorts about home and away shorts. And, just get rid of white shorts to start off with. And I said to my boys, I said, you know, you don't need, but it's tradition, Mum, it's tradition. I said, but you don't need home and away shorts. Next season, they got rid of you have a different Guernsey. Next season, they got rid of the white shorts, great. And the kids have never said a thing. But you've saved $40 a child each year because they grow out of them. So I just think we need to question what we're doing. Why? Why do we do that? Why do we not let friendship groups play together? If that's what they'd like to do and that's what they enjoy, but the cost in terms of who's paying, I generally say the parents, but I don't know at what point the youth might have a better answer, what time that transitions, that they're more independent. I'm waiting for that to happen.
Thank you very much, Rochelle. Thinking about the need to design, new products or using less traditional formats, what do you think about the work that also has to be done? This is obviously, I think, targeted a little bit at sport organisations and the need for them to change products, but also the need for parents to sort of change how they perceive what their child needs. I know certainly in my basketball club, we sort of often took a lot of our work, I think, needs to be done on engaging parents who still think that what their kid is playing at is the NBA or the WNBA, and that at 4 years old they need, basketball lessons or, for example, in that sport. What are your thoughts around that sort of area and the need for how we educate parents and engage with them better?
But I think too, and it's difficult at a clubland because they're based on volunteers. They're trying to do their best and they're trying to get game day happening. But to get game day happening, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. But I think there should be sort of communication to the parent about expectations, no matter what age they are. Here's a letter to the family. This is a volunteer-run club. This is what we expect you to do. We expect you to rock up to training, be fair, and etc. We expect the parents to contribute to, officiating one game and helping out in canteen, etc. What is the culture of what we're expecting of those families, and definitely about what is the focus of that. And some clubs do it really, really well in terms of their communication, and some don't. But it comes down to the culture of the club and the leaders of that club, and what are they driving, and what is their vision for the actual club. And I've seen some great vision statements in terms of club rooms that really says we want to improve our people and have a better community. Well, isn't that fantastic? And live by those principles. And other clubs are, really heavily focused on winning and not that great environment.
I have a question for the YAC group, actually, sorry. Obviously, you guys have done fantastic with that survey. To have that many respondents is just absolutely incredible. Can you tell me a little bit more about the format of the survey that you used and any of the details behind that, and if even a copy of the survey is still available, just to see how, for the rest of us that are constantly trying to get feedback for a million different things, we might be able to learn something from you in that capacity?
Yeah, we've definitely still got the survey available. I'm happy to, I don't know if you can help put that somewhere, Meredith, but yeah, so basically the survey was structured around each of those points that was up in the presentation of the positives, negatives, opportunities. Basically was just for each of them rank 1 to 10 how significantly you felt this has impacted you. If it doesn't apply, please leave it blank, that kind of thing. And that came down to making it as user-friendly as possible. Just no one wants to have to write long-winded responses. No one wants to read all these long things. It was just a Google form, 1 to 10, off you go. We did have a section down the bottom for if you'd like to be contacted for any follow-up, please let us know. And we had an extraordinary number of people actually respond yes to that as well. Like so much so that we were a bit like, oh my, like 2,000 people being like, yes, please email me for more. I'm like, oh my God, I can't do that. But yeah, does that answer the question? Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
I think it's probably also important to acknowledge a really simple thing that we did that was a cost, but not when you look at getting 2,600 responses, was I think offering, I think it was two $50 gift vouchers for 2 of the people that did this survey. And I don't reckon we would have got 200 if we didn't do that. Like I think that's made a really massive difference. I think the other thing that will come from actually having the survey data is we've put a few graphs into the report, but we actually had way, way more broken down into a few really interesting lenses, which was regional, rural, metro, gender, and then the amount of time people have played sport, which all had really, really interesting but quite consistent data between the groups. So yeah, happy to send that out because we've pretty much got it formatted anyway. So and something we were talking about earlier is something we'd love to release because it's just we didn't want to absolutely dump a 20-page report on everybody. So I'm very, very happy to send that out. It's really, really interesting.
Sorry. I think that also kind of helped because it was just, this is going to be read by these people and it's going to be directly used for this. I think just personally, like when I see the 1,000,001 surveys that are out there and, you know, everybody thinks they're the most important thing in the world to them because it's your project or it's your baby at the time kind of thing. And it's not really clear all the time exactly what it's going to be used for. So it's like, like it's only a 5-minute survey, but my response isn't going to count. It's not going to matter for anything. Where when we're like, no, like it's going to be directly used for this. It's going to be read by these people. I think that was some feedback I got from some friends at least when they saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing, which Victoria mentioned, actually. But it's just about closing the loop. I think a lot of times, and I think that's something I mentioned in our discussions as a group as well. Any kind of youth initiative, oftentimes, can be quite short term, and so it's always good to when you're presenting that to the young people. Like when we came to this project, we knew that our goal was to develop a strategy together, and that was the goal that we worked towards. And for people that are answering your surveys, it's good to know that they at the conclusion of the survey that there is something that's directly benefiting them, and it's not that it's just a one-channel system. That kind of concept of continuity is, I think, really important. I think it's just because the survey was coming out from us also. The fact that the young people are asking that. So it might be good if you're trying to target young people within that sports area to get them to, to read it, to go through it, and perhaps help as a distributing point. It might be good. Yeah.
Sorry, I'll just be really quick. I think, we provided 6 points, but I think the kind of conclusion of everything is include young people in what you're doing. Something we had a lot of conversation about is if you want young people, involved, you need to give them a seat at the table. So something we talked about that we haven't particularly mentioned that's in kind of the bigger report is we've had discussions about what is providing young people with opportunities in executive governance like, really putting young people in a position where you can't exclude them. And I think that's something that's been really, really interesting, something like we've been lucky enough to be integrated in by doing what we're doing as well. So yeah, lots to learn, but great question.
Any other questions? All good. You're off the hook, Rochelle. Thanks again, Rochelle. I hope everyone has been taking notes or filing things away to take back to their teams tomorrow or next week. I know there was a lot of insights in there and definitely things we can hit the ground running with. So a massive thank you to Rochelle for providing that fantastic overview of all your work, and again to the YAC as well for answering those questions on the spot. That was great. I would like to get my colleague Michaela to come up and help me with this one. We're just going to hand out some gifts. So first of all, thank you to Rochelle. Come back up to the stage. Receive your gift. Rochelle always puts a lot of time into helping us out at Vicsport, so we do thank her, and she's driven a long way to be here as well tonight. To the YAC members in the room, I'd like to thank you all individually, so come up and get your little gift, starting with Charlize, Planning, Mackenzie, Jack, and Victoria. As I alluded to earlier, we also had Khalid, Max and Lewis part of the YAC as well. They just couldn't be with us tonight, but I know that they're joining us online, so if they are, big thank you. I'd also like to thank Vic Health for your funding and for your support to get this YAC together, and also your guidance along the way. I know I've spoken to you a lot, Shelley, in helping me in being best managing the YAC and being there and a great support for them as well. So I really would like to thank Vic Health. I'd also like to thank our CEO, Lisa Haskar, for supporting the YAC and also your guidance and expertise, and the team at Vicsport for helping me bring this event together alongside the YAC, so thanks to the team. And lastly, thank you to you all for the work that you do and for joining us here this afternoon, either online or in person. It's great to see so many smiling faces here this afternoon. We would love for you to join us out in the foyer for some light refreshments. You can ask the YAC more questions. You can grill Rochelle. We're here to help, but please stick around. That would be fantastic. Also on the screen behind me is a QR code to a survey, a very quick one, which will just ask you what you thought of today. And if you have any questions or you'd like us to follow up with anything, please fill that out. And as I said, the youth strategy is now on our website. We'll be sending out an email to everyone with a link to that, and we'll be working with the team as well to put a bit of an appendix together, which goes into more of the nitty-gritty of the data for those that really like to trawl through it. That's not me, but if that's you, then go for it. But yeah, no, thank you again for everyone that was involved, and thank you for coming today. It really means a lot. So yeah, see you for drinks.